Oh. The Guru is live.
Welcome to Mtn Top Chats with your guru. It's a great Tuesday morning, and real estate, by the way, is smoking hot. You know, I am so excited about the chat program because we get to meet some of the greatest people. And here we have, current news, lots of news going on in real estate, lots of events. I got a couple of events to talk to you about today. So one top thing going on in real estate right now is that looking back, we always look backwards. So the pendings in January are what's interesting to look at now because we're far enough away to have all the data and pull it all together. And the pendings in January were actually down. I mean, this is incredible that the pendings, and with as hot as the market is. So let's think about this for a second. We're in a seller's market. And just to remind everybody, a seller's market is where you have more buyers than you do homes for sale. You have very little inventory in a pure seller's market. See, we have this seller's market and we have very little inventory going on, but we have crazy amount of buyers. But in January 2022, the market came out on the 2nd of January, smoking hot. And now looking back, we have to wonder to ourselves, what happened? Why are pendings, why are the pending sales that came out of January low? Well, that's because we have historic low inventory also. So we ended up with this amazing hot market. Things being bid up on yet a third year now where things come right out of the gate swinging and things are being bid up. And now we're in March. And with March, the market, basically we had the opening gate to the market every March 1st. It's kind of considered the unofficial opening gate to the markets for real estate. And it was, once again, we're having 15, 20, 30 offers on lots of the homes in the Portland and Seattle areas. This is just incredible how hot the market is. But because the inventory is so incredibly low, it drove the sales actually down while the average price was driven higher than ever before. People are seeking homes. Particularly the northwest sector of the United States continues to be on fire like never before. Now, by the way, I want to talk real quickly about an event I went to 2 years ago, and it's coming up again this year. So it is the IOI Summit, and it is the Inventors Summit. It is the New Products Summit from the NAR. Get all of the alphabet soup out there. The National Association of Realtors has what they call their IOI. It's basically their inventors, the New Product Summit. And that is coming out. And Karen, we were out there about 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm.
And this September 28, 29, it's going to be in Los Angeles. I encourage you to think about going. I went to a couple of years ago, Karen and I went to it, where we were in Seattle and didn't expect a whole lot and came out of it with new ideas, understanding the new direction of products for the market. We are in such a techie sector of a career. Real estate really is one of those sectors that we have embraced technology, and our entire career circulates around it. I'd like to hear from somebody in comments how they feel like their career is enhanced by it, as well as, do you feel like that we're just too techie? Have we went too far? By the way, it was a couple of years ago, I learned of a piece of technology that was fairly new, not brand new, but you know how you have all of these things that come in where you look into a company to see how how happy are people with that company. Well, it was Ogvo that was there at the summit advertising their product. A good company, by the way. But they taught us that when you submit over, like let's just say you submit over how happy you are with ABC company or unhappy you are, though all of those ratings go through a filter and aren't necessarily displayed to the open public. Just because you say something about a company, they may have a sub company like Ogvo filtering these things, and the lower ratings, maybe out of 5, it's the 2 stars, the 1 star, the 2 star, the 3 star, they get filtered and never displayed. Does allow the companies, though, to get back to people. We took a look at this product just for fun, and it was a very interesting product, and just learned a lot about that ability of people to give feedback. I mean, it was amazingly fascinating.
It's very interesting. And it definitely makes you skeptical when you see somebody that has really high star ratings, how they got them.
It will, yes. When they have the 100 people with 5 stars, or excuse me, the person who has 100 ratings and they're all 5 stars, how many of those were not released? That's what you have to think to yourself now, because these companies are out there and they filter the results. Okay, moving on real quick. We have so much to get through today. The news is just wild hot out there. I do want to mention something real fun though. If you're looking for somewhere cheap in America to buy a home, where is the cheapest place? Let me tell you, it's not Portland. It's not Seattle. It's not San Francisco. It's not DC. It's not Miami. It's none of those places. But you can still buy a 3-bedroom home in Iowa. Some places in Iowa, you can still buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home for an average price of $147,000. That's right off the data this morning. $147,000. That is incredible to think that anywhere in America, and we're not talking dilapidated homes, we're talking about homes that are up to speed and comfortable homes. Still $147,000. That's incredible. I didn't know there was anywhere left in America that was selling, stick-built homes on its own piece of property for that kind of price. You compare that now with the average cost of a home in Portland, Oregon, as of last month, being $564,000. That's, a $400,000+ difference for essentially the same home.
So, Ron, I'm not sure if you were ready to answer this, but you were doing some research on cost of living. How does Portland compare, not the home prices, but how does the cost of living compare to the national average?
Well, I love this kind of data. So I was pouring through the data out there on cost of living for all the different areas and looking at Florida, and looking at Georgia, and looking at Washington. And I thought, well, I better look at my home area, the Portland metro area. And Portland metro area. So let's explain how it works on cost of living, the COLs. The cost of living at the mark of 100 means you are average for America. Your cost of living is flat. It's just right at average. If you're below, like say you are a 90, you are cheaper than most of America. If you're above 100, then you are more expensive. Well, things like Orlando, Florida come in at 97. Which I thought was fascinating. And so you can look these up. They're easy to Google. But the question was, how does Portland compare? Portland comes in at a 181. 181. We're 81 points or 81 percentage points above what the normal would be for the rest of America. That is just mind-blowing to think that that's where we're at now. And there, by the way, there's some areas that are well above that. I mean, you start looking at Seattle, they're above that, and San Francisco's. And now with that, I will say this: the cost of living also is associated with wages being higher in those areas. We are simply looking at the total package. The whole package, what does it take to live in an area? But Portland is an expensive area to live when you look at the whole package. Even though wages can be a little bit higher here than a lot of areas, Seattle can say the same thing, but the whole package, more expensive. So I want to move on. No, we have so much, got a stack of stuff in front of us, but most importantly, we have a guest today. I am so excited to get to our guest. Our guest coming up here in just a little bit is Tim Sellers. And before we get to that, we have a quick announcement.
So, Rod, what does it mean? 7 minutes to a new career.
Well, in 7 minutes, we can have a cup of coffee. We can talk career goals and how we're going to help you make the biggest career move in your life.
That's right. There's a lot of things that Mountain Hood Realty has to offer, and Rod is a ball of energy.
I love the career, and I want to share with you my passion for building your business bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Come spend 7 minutes with us. We look forward to it.
Talk to you soon.
The Guru is back with Tim Sellers.
Hey, Tim. Welcome to Mountain Top Chats. Thank you so much for carving out some of your busy time with us.
Good morning. It is my pleasure.
Well, Tim, of course, Mountain Top Chats is all about real estate, but it's real estate and kind of the everything about the person. So I want to start off with the broad question of, what got you into real estate? Why did you even start to think that real estate was a career?
Well, I am a third generation realtor. My grandfather was a realtor. He didn't do it full time, but he still was active in it. My mom was a realtor since 1974. And after several years at another company, she started her own brokerage. And growing up in that, it was just a natural for me to give it a try. I didn't know if it would be a long-term career, but that was 1988, and here I am still.
You're still working in it now.
Right.
That's amazing. So you are a true third generation.
Yes.
So, Tim, have you had any other careers? I mean, has it all been real estate?
As far as career, it's all real estate. I delivered pizza.
Well, that's a career. Pizza can absolutely.
It was temporary and it was fun. One little side benefit is I sure did learn the roads well, and that's a good career in a real estate agent's career.
I love it. Hey, Tim, what is one of your favorite things about real estate?
People. Absolutely, it's just people. You get to see people in a slightly more intimate way than you would in other professions, because you're relating to where they live, what they are dreaming of. You get deep into their lives, and granted, it tends to be fairly temporary, but it builds relationships. And
well, I mean, it's what you're dealing.
Become friends.
You're dealing with one of the most expensive things that people ever do in their lifetime, and that is buy a home, and they build wealth through that, right?
Absolutely.
So, of course, it's stressful. So, tell me about some of this. How do you help people deal with the stress of it? I mean, they talk about moving or buying a home as being one of the top 5 stressors in their life.
Well, I don't have a simple answer for that, but when I'm dealing with people, I want to tell them the truth. And sometimes you can convey the truth and it doesn't communicate well. But if you can back up the truth with stories, that can get them to a deeper understanding. And having so many years of experience, 33 years now, I have many, many stories to tell. And for most circumstances, I've got one or two things that help people relate. And I try and bring a little humor into it whenever possible. But if I can tell them the truth and enhance it with stories, it's not just a better understanding on their part, but it's comforting to them.
I would agree with you. Now you do something, Tim, and you've taught this skill set to me, and that is you use a calendaring method to help alleviate some of the stress with people you work with. How does that calendaring method work?
Well, it's simply Google Calendar, and that is available to anyone with a Gmail account. And I create a calendar for each listing and create a calendar for each transaction. And I update it as the transaction progresses or the listing progresses. But that calendar is also shared with the client. And often they're able to connect directly to it. They are not allowed to make changes, but they can view it. And then there's people who either don't have that Google account that allows them the easy access, or some people just don't have computers or smartphones that allow them to do that. And I'll print it out for them.
Wow.
And that's a real comfort to people to have that calendar right in front of them.
Because people are kind of lost in the system, right? I mean, that's my experience as an agent, that people get lost in the process of where are we at? How come I haven't closed yet? Which is one of the stressors, right?
Yeah. People want to know what's going on. They want to make sure they're not forgetting things. And it's part of my job to communicate to them about the things they need to do and when they need to do them. But to add to it the calendar, such a simple thing. I wish I had started doing it years before I did. I've only been doing that for about 8 or 9 years now, but it's really enhanced.
I'll tell you too, I've been coaching people in real estate for years, and here's what I know. The career of real estate can also be stressful in and of itself, because you're dealing often with people that are on the edge and stressed. What do you do to kind of bring your stress level down a little?
I come home and do the dishes.
You
truly, that
might bring your wife's stress level down too.
She loves it. Yeah, I love to do the dishes and clean the kitchen, and that just melts away the stress for me.
So you do domestics?
Not most of them. I leave that to Christina, and she wants to do it because she's better at it. But it's a teamwork on all these things, but I do love to do the dishes.
So you have a wife. Yeah. Is she in real estate with you?
She was. She's been out of real estate since, I want to say maybe 2009 or 2010. And she was a licensed broker for 11 years prior to that. And we worked as a team. And she did it mostly to just be with me, working with me, to be supportive to me. So I was always the lead in that. But there's no doubt about it. She is very sharp when it comes to real estate. It may not be where her passion is, but she's very good at it. I love talking to her about some of the circumstances I go through. She always has good wisdom to share.
So you do some chores around the house. You do things to kind of bring that. It's a good distractor for you. But I think you took a vacation just recently. Is that right?
Oh, we might have gone to Disneyland.
And there may have been to Disneyland in there?
Yeah. And I think we do that a little too much. We just got back from Disneyland. A year ago, we went to Disney World for the first time. And a year before that, we went to Disneyland as well. So I think we're a little burnt out on it, but we do love it. It's a great day.
Hey, I want to go back over to real estate real quick, Tim, and talk about a sensitive subject to a lot of people. And that's all the masks and the coronavirus. You know, we've been having 2.5 years of a lot of, I'll call it an upset in the industry of how to deal with this. And now, of course, we're looking at March 12th, right around the corner from us, the governor releasing that. And we don't know exactly what the governor is going to do as far as our profession. But how has the coronavirus impacted your real estate business?
Well, when we first had the initial lockdowns, I had about 2 weeks where I didn't know whether we were going to have a market crash or what, because almost nothing happened. And I had 4 sales pending at the time. 2 of them quickly fell apart. because of people's fears. Two of them stayed together, came to fruition, closed, and about that second week, though, I started getting busy, and I wasn't sure whether it was real or false, but it's proven to be real, and I have been the busiest I've ever been since then.
So business has stayed up for you during the coronavirus time. It has not been a bump down for you.
No, significant increase in business.
And you're still taking on new clients today.
I am, but I don't pursue new clients. I've been in this 33 years now, and almost all of my business is repeat and referral. And that's an ideal place to be, because I've heard it said that the best business model for a new real estate agent is to spend 60% of their time pursuing new business and 40% of their time servicing the clients they have.
Yeah.
And I feel blessed to be able to say it's pretty close to zero on pursuing business and nearly 100% on giving service. And that's an ideal situation.
Do you think you've been in this model for the last decade, or has it been less than that?
More than that, about 15 years.
So about half, not quite, of your career, you've been in the model of just the repeat business, people that you have wowed in the industry, and they're just happy with you.
Yeah, it's about trust. I have this concept that if people don't like me or don't trust me, why would they work with me? But if people like me and trust me, they'll always come back to me.
Well, that is so true. So earning credibility and trust and digging deep into people's motivation, that's hard work, though. So people don't like to reveal that at first. It takes a while, doesn't it?
Depending on the individual. Some people come into a relationship easily trusting others. Other people have difficulty with that. And I don't want to ever be presumptuous either way. I just want to work with people, do it right, be diligent, be faithful to them. Sometimes having little phrases, which are true, I'm making true statements, but they come across especially well, can really help build relationship. One of the things I like to tell people when I'm early in the business relationship is that I will be as patient as they need me to be. And similarly, when the time comes, I'll be as diligent as they need me to be. And that sort of phrase, while it's
I like that.
True, it's very comforting to them. I don't ever want to come across pressuring, but I want them to know that when the time comes, I'm ready to work for them.
Let me do a check-in with Karen. Make sure, do we have anybody writing to us, Karen?
Let me double check.
This show cannot be run, Tim, without the backroom people that actually is making all the technology. I get to sit here and have chats, and all the technology is being run behind the scene, and Karen's checking on the chats.
We have a question as to, Tim's been in the business a long time, and the person wants to know, does he have any suggestions for new brokers?
So if you couldn't hear that, Tim, the question is, do you have any, person is asking on social media, do you have any suggestion for somebody just starting in the business, a brand new broker?
Absolutely. It is critical that they choose the company they work for carefully. When we were raising our son, I told him, be careful who you choose as your friends, because you will become just like them. Well, it goes the same in business. Choose carefully where you go to work, because you will become like them. And there are companies out there that are a little more cutthroat. There are companies out there that will promise the world and deliver very little, if any. And then there's companies where you have caring leaders and owners and managers that really want to support you and help you. And that will make all the difference.
So number one is be careful who you choose to work for.
Yeah.
Because, I have found this to be true. And, I've worked for different people over the years. And now Karen and I own the broker. And for full disclosure, Tim, Karen and I, we work together in this. And we are so thankful to work with you, Tim. And it's not just because you're another body with us. It's because you are truly coming to us with credibility And that's how we believe the team needs to be. But there are different teams that have different purposes. And people may choose a team for all kinds of different purposes. The one purpose I have found that doesn't work is when someone chooses a team solely for money. That usually falls apart.
I agree. There's nothing wrong with making a good living, but if you put your focus on money, you can't focus on service. You can't do both. So focus on service. My mom was my principal broker for the first 32 years of my career, and I was so privileged to be mentored by her, to learn from her, and the wisdom that she gave me. I'd be doing great if I could remember half of it. It is all about service. And she told me early on, if you just give good service and do right by your clients, you don't need to worry about the money. It doesn't mean you'll make a huge amount, although I've done good in my career. But if we just focus on giving good service, you don't have to worry about the money.
Well, Tim, I've got to ask, we're down to just a few minutes here on our timing, but I've got to ask, with your many years in the market, you're so busy, where do you see us going next in this? I mean, people are worried. We have a war going on right now. And by the way, I didn't mention it earlier, but our hopes and prayers are with the people of the Ukraine. And we'd like to get some insights from a 33-year veteran. Where do you believe this market's going? Do we need to be in fear as a market because of the war? Or are there other factors that you foresee out there?
I don't think I have a good answer for you. I'm not in fear of what might be coming. I've been through the downtimes, and what you do is you adapt. And most of my career early on, I had to work hard for any leads that I could get, and I had to diligently try and generate those leads. But when the market was down, we just adapted, and we don't know what's coming. I can't say I can predict what's coming. But there's smarter people out there that can probably do a good job of that, and I should be listening to them. But regardless of that, just understanding that people want to buy and sell in a strong market, and sometimes people need to buy and sell in a weak market. And if you are ready to still give that great service, you'll win the day.
I just dearly love it. That's exactly right. Nobody can predict the future. It's not. People ask me all the time, "Oh, Rob, what if I buy something today? What's it going to be worth in 3 years? Or are we going to crash?" Nobody really knows. I mean, most economists right now are believing that we are stable, but then you get things like the war that comes along, and how is that going to rattle the cage? And we really don't know exactly what's happening with it. Going back to the question though we had, Tim, on a new broker. So what do you believe a new broker should they focus their first year on a deal every couple months? Or do you think is there a reasonable goal you see for a new full-time agent in the industry?
Well, that's really hard to say. I'm so far from that at this point. But from the standpoint of encouraging people, I think that one sale every other month, it's hard to sustain without another income source. And I respect and sympathize with people in that position, because it's hard to get started in this industry. But if they will commit to having a good mentor who's preparing them, and if they are willing to work alongside them, if they can do a little better than one every 2 months, I think they can get a good start. And at the point at which they have 10 to 12 sales, they have enough experience that they can start branching out fully on their own under their principal broker, but not needing a full-time mentor. And
I think a lot of times, Tim, people tend to branch out too early. They get that 1 or 2 sales, and they still can't answer the questions that come from the sellers and buyers enough, because there's so many questions.
That's where you lean on your principal broker. That's why it is so valuable to have that principal broker that is genuinely supportive. And now, when I had a point in my life a little over a year ago where I needed to find a new company to work for, I had no question about where I wanted to go. I didn't know if you'd take me. I'm glad you did, but there was no question that I wanted to jump on board with the two of you. But new agents, it's a struggle because they are getting recruiting from so many sources, and they're promised the world. What I found is that even though I didn't need the mentoring you have, I observe how you treat the other brokers, some of them very new in the industry. I observe what you do, and if I were just getting started, I would want to work for you as well. Plus, you've got me with many years of experience, Ginger with many years of experience, you and Kevin each have many years, so it's not just one person, it's a team of support around.
Right.
And I'm always eager to be supportive, whether it's others in our own office here or in other companies. Just because they work for another company doesn't mean I'm not eager to be supportive and encouraging to them.
I agree with that statement. I don't view that these deals are one versus another. I believe that all these deals are bringing two sides together and making it happen. And that's what I see you doing, Tim, is bringing your deals together to make it happen. And I respect that so much.
And yet, at the same time, making sure to put my own clients' needs first.
Hey, Tim, we're running out of time here. I got one more question.
Right.
I know you have pets, and I always like to, bring in the pet question because I love my pets. And as you know, as a mostly blind individual, I have a guide dog and I have pets, but I also know you have pets. What kind of pets do you have, and what's going on there?
Well, let's start with our cat. It's actually our son's cat, but when he went to college in Oklahoma, he left her behind. So we have a little calico cat. And then about 8 years ago, we got a beagle. First dog we've ever had.
Yeah.
Might have been better to get a less challenging dog, but he's wonderful. His name is Diggory. And then after about 3 years of having Diggory, we realized Diggory needs a companion. So we got a rescue dog that's a Chigi. And Chigis are a Corgi Chihuahua mix, and he's just adorable. And they make a great team.
And they play together.
Oh, they do.
Did they play with the cat?
They want to chase the cat, but she won't run, and that's frustrating. She just stands her ground.
We have a little terrier, Marbles we call her, and a twinned Toto on Wizard of Oz, a Karen Terrier, and she would love to play with the cat, but the cat wants nothing to do with her because mostly she wants to chase the cat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Tim, it has been such an honor, such a blessing to have you. I learn every time we get together. I learn so much from you, and I want to thank you for being on the Mountain Top Chats with me today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Rod.
Thanks, Tim. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Okay, I've got a stack of stuff. Karen, I don't know if I can get through everything today, but I'm going to try. I tell you, talking to Tim is always so insightful, and watching him do the business is inspiring because everywhere he takes the business and how smoothly he gets it done. So I want to talk about the Oregon mask mandate briefly. It came up in our conversation, but the Oregon mask mandate is ending on March 12th. What we don't know in real estate or other professions for that matter, like the hospitals and nursing and all these things, we don't really know from the governor's office yet how this mask ending thing is going to impact the professions. So that's going to be quite different. Does it end for us? Do we have to continue to have masks inside showings? And what's going on there? So big changes in real estate coming up. So I would ask you out there, what are you still using masks? What is your company policy with masks? Are you still using them for showings? I mean, I know how it is. People have avoided the mask as of late, anyway, because they feel like it's over, and they've started taking the mask off no matter. Nobody wants the mask off more than I. I absolutely am tired of I'll say it right up front. I'm tired of the mask. I don't want, but I'd like to hear from you, your comments. What do you think about the mask? And how has the mask impacted your ability to have the relationship? Tim had talked about this being a relationship business and how those relationships will circle back. And now the last 15 years of his business, he has basically had referral business. That's what you want. That's awesome. Has the mask impacted your ability to have the referral business? And I believe that it is going to have an impact long term on how this is happening. And I think it's harder to build a deep relationship with somebody and have the mask on because they can't see you. It's an inhibitor to pulling together a full relationship. One moment, I think it's here. Okay. Now, is it limiting your ability, the mask, on the interaction with people? Or have you decided simply to just take the mask off? And I know there's a lot of people doing that. Would like to hear from you in the comments about what are you doing? And are you looking forward to the state is saying, we're simply done? I think there are a lot of us, and I'll throw myself into that boat. I'm simply waiting desperately for the state to say, we're done, we're out of here. And how are you dealing with open houses on the mask? Do you continue to limit how many people can come into the house, into the building? Are you still doing social distancing? By the way, I'm not mocking it. By no means. As much as I want the mask to go away, I'm not mocking it. I think there's a need. We have a virus going around. It's a deadly virus. I have respect. I don't want it. Believe me, I don't want that. But on the other side of it, I'm tired. I would like to be able to not have to talk through a mask again. Okay, when we come back from the break here in just a moment, we're going to talk about our zombie housing update. What is the update to the zombie housing? We brought it up last week, and the whole there's a zombie foreclosure thing going on, and we'll be talking right after this break about the zombie update.
So, Rod, how can a cup of coffee improve my career in real estate?
Well, one cup of coffee is how we start our mornings, and it's not a stranger in real estate. We have coffee with our clients all the time. Even bigger than that, we can sit down with one cup of coffee, talk about your goals, make your business bigger, and push you to heights that you can't even believe.
That's right. And I'll tell you, working for Rod and I, you can be pushed because he's a workhorse.
I love real estate, and I want to share my passion with building your career in real estate as soon as we can pour the next cup of coffee.
So how about a cup of coffee with us?
I look forward to having a cup of coffee with you and having a discussion of a career change as soon as possible.
Thank you. The guru is back.
Okay, it's zombie update time. So just to remind you, what are zombie houses? What are zombie foreclosures? These are the houses nationally. And I didn't coin the term, by the way. These are the houses nationally that are sitting empty, owned by banks. And everybody seems to think that, well, the bank will take anything for these. And let me guarantee you that is not true. It is just simply not true that the bank will take anything. The banks all have their book rate on these things. They have how much is invested. And if they can't get the right amount, they're better off to let the asset sit on their books and let a house sit empty. I know it becomes just kind of that crazy. So the zombie update is that there's still about 1.4 million zombie houses. That is foreclosed homes. People have given them up. They've walked away from the home, and the home is just sitting empty. And this is on a national scale, not here local. 1.4 million, almost. It's close. 1.386, I think. So about 1.4 million homes that are what we call the zombie foreclosures. That's crazy. It's really something. They believe this year alone, that number will go up by about 10%. And we have nothing showing us in the last week that number is not still on the rise as we talk right now. Still on the rise. The zombie foreclosures. We get called all the time where a homeowner will say, I have an empty house sitting next to me. Can you, as a real estate, can you do something about it? And the answer is probably not. Most of the time, probably not, because it's owned by a bank, and what they are called REOs, real estate owned by a bank. REOs, they are held until the bank wants to sell it by the asset manager. And it gets really complicated. But foreclosures right now are way down. Even though there's 1.4 million zombie, which is a little strange in such a need of housing time to have that many zombie foreclosures, we still have few foreclosures on the market. Foreclosures are just way down. Comparison to looking back in 08, 09, and 10, where foreclosures were soaring, even into always close as 2014, 2015, where foreclosures were still pretty high. Right now in 2022, foreclosures are way, way, way down. Okay, huge news update. We mentioned last week on the love letters. And I thought, okay, love letters for Oregon are over. There's a ruling that you can't have love letters in Oregon. Well, it's amazing how much can change due to a legal case in 1 week. 1 week. So 1 week later now, big change on the love. So last week, Oregon legislature on January 1st had ruled all the way through until this last week that love letters, these are the letters that buyers submit to the seller to explain to them how well their house will be treated and what a great fit the house is for them. Well, they've looked at this as a problem. And it's been looked at in lots of states, by the way, that have other types of rulings against love letters. Oregon is one of many states that have rulings, but Oregon is the only state to have exactly this kind of a ruling, so broad-based. And Oregon's ruling came out that love letters are just over. Done. Well, that is rare. In fact, Oregon's the only state to have that kind of a broad-based ruling out there. Well, it was challenged by a group to the court, a federal court, and the federal court has put a stop to it. They have stopped the presses on this and said, hold on, this violates strict scrutiny. Now, so I'm going to take a second here. I'm an attorney, so we're going to get a little deeper into what does that mean. So we want to break this down just real briefly. So these love letters, what did they typically look like? So they would typically look something like this. My husband and 3 children and I came and looked at your home the other day and fell in love with it. We found that it's close to the schools, close to my job, and my disabled veteran father will be able to live in the extra bedroom. Our children have already picked out the bedrooms in the home, and it's close to all the assets of our life. Okay, and they go on from there, and they talk about the love of the house to their family. But notice how they're also potentially bringing up some protected class issues. So since this is a freedom of speech issue, this is a First Amendment freedom of speech issue. This is where the people are actually saying, look, I want to write a letter. Don't I have a right to write a letter and not have the government bar me on this? Well, it comes down to strict scrutiny. Now, there are 3 scrutiny tests. I'm not going to bore you with them all today. I'm going to talk about one of the scrutiny tests, which is the one likely that is the upsetting point for this. And the test is exactly these words. The test is, quotes, narrowly tailored and necessary to achieve a compelling governmental interest, end quote. And we do this again. Open quote. The ruling from the government must be, open quote, narrowly tailored and necessary to achieve a compelling governmental interest, close quote. So the ruling that came out from the government, at least by this judge doing the injunction, said that it's not narrowly tailored and that it's not necessary to have that kind of a ruling to achieve a compelling governmental interest. Well, this is fascinating. This will be an interest. You're looking for a fight to watch. This is going to be a good one to watch when it comes to real estate, housing, and First Amendment rights. This is going to be a very interesting one to watch because the test is declaring, the judge is declaring that the ruling was overly broad and that it is possible for someone to write a love letter and not mention these other protected classes. And I think the judge is probably right. We'll see how it comes out. But, if you really wanted to sit down and craft the letter, you wouldn't have to mention these other protected classes. They wouldn't have to come up. And you could write a love letter without it. So I think they're probably accurate. So I think Oregon legislators are going to have to go back and recraft, if they're interested, and recraft new legislation on how this will happen. We'll see how the court case comes out. We currently have an injunction against it pending a federal court case. So we'll see how it comes out. This is really the hottest of the hot news going on right. Even on a national standard, Oregon's going to make news on this because we have the latest version of it going on. Okay, moving on from the love letters, and we were going to have our love letter update next week probably, or the week after, as well as we will continue to have our zombie foreclosure updates as to what's going on with the zombie houses. All right, if you're lonely, this is not a commercial, by the way. If you are lonely, where should you live? Does it matter where a person lives if they're lonely? I never really thought about this. I didn't get married until late in life. I didn't even live with anybody until I was like 42 years old. So this all strikes me as odd. People I was never a lonely single person. But there are areas to live, apparently, that can help loneliness. So the least lonely areas to live. Number one on least lonely is Utah. Number two, this blows my mind, is Alaska. Okay. And number three, by the way, is Hawaii. And Hawaii doesn't surprise me at all. It's just the way I think about it. I'm probably wrong on how I think about it. Number one being Utah. Okay. I wouldn't have thought that. Number two being Alaska. For the least lonely places to live, number two is Alaska. I don't get it. That just escapes me. If you would like to be lonelier, if you're tired of people hanging around and you want to live in the loneliest areas, by the way, this is all based upon people living alone. The sampling is based upon how many people in the population actually live alone. And when it comes to Utah, it's about 4%. It's small. Oregon, by the way, is 5.3, and the state of Washington is 4.8. It's very, very low. Very few people live absolutely alone in these states. But if you are interested in lonely areas, you need to go no further than District of Columbia, D.C., Washington, D.C. They lead the top of the charts at 44.8% of the people live alone. Not far under that is North Dakota, in the high 30s of people living alone. So calling these the very loneliest of areas. And then a close third is Vermont, of people living alone. Vermont surprises me. That really, really surprises me. Okay. I wanted to throw a few things out there about that. With Oregon being the 5.3 and Washington being the 4.8%, these are not considered lonely areas. People live together. Okay. Highest percentage of widows in real estate. Highest percentage of widows living in homes. Who's keeping track is what I would like to know. Who in the world is all these stats out there? Who's keeping track of this crazy stuff? And Karen, you'll let me know if someone's making a comment so that we can get back to them. So highest percentage of widows living in homes. West Virginia tops the list. And then it's Alabama at a close second. And then Arkansas at a close third. For the highest percentage of widows, their spouses are dying early or something. I don't know more data on it, but I thought that was fascinating. I read across this stat and thought it was absolutely fascinating. Now, this is not going to surprise you, because what states have the highest divorces? Well, it's Maine and Nevada, but that wouldn't surprise anybody who's looked into this. These are the two states that early on had divorce laws and had property settlement in real estate laws that went along with their no-fault divorce laws that supported this. And I'm not pushing divorce. In no way am I pushing divorce. But these two states certainly supported this, and still to this day in 2022 have the most divorces going on because of their property settlement rights and things like this going on. Okay. By the way, I'd love to hear from you in the show. What's going on? What questions do you have about real estate? Let's chat. And who would you like to hear from in the chats? Who would you like to see an interview from? Today we are talking to a seasoned veteran of real estate, Tim Sellers, and his company is Sellers Market. And I'm so thankful to be connected with him in Mount Hood Realty. He is a phenomenal performer in real estate. I'd like to hear from you, though. Who would you like to hear from when it comes to chats in real estate? One moment. Okay. Another quick stat here. I ran across these for real estate, and when it came to the lonely things, the most interest in friendship apps, by the way, happens to be Colorado, California, and DC. The DC one does not surprise me at all. I mean, they were top of the lonely, so why wouldn't they be the top among those top ones when it comes to friendship apps? I mean, why not? Okay, I want to get over to a topic a little closer to real estate. There's no way we have enough time here at the end of this to deal with this fully. I want to talk about video. Video in real estate. Video has taken over. What are you doing with video? I'd like to hear from you in the chat. What are you personally doing with video? How are you enhancing your real estate business with video? Are you doing video tours? Because video tours come in multiple styles right now. You can go around and take a bunch of pictures, stitch them together, and there's lots of apps to do this. Let me know in the chat, what app are you using to stitch together your pictures to make it look like you have a video? Because you don't actually have to take a video now. You can take still photos, put them into an app. It will stitch them together and actually make a video for you out of it. One of the companies is called Video Tour, Karen.
Oh my.
Ah, goodness sakes.
Cut me off there.
Anyway, it's Tour Factory.
That wasn't a
Yeah. It's called Tour Factory, and they do an amazing job. But there's lots of them out there that do this and will stitch together this and make it look like there's movement by zooming in and out and across the individual photo. And they do it phenomenal and cheap. And there's just lots of apps out there doing it. And of course, you can have video, actual video. And then there is the next class up of video tours where you can click on the image and walk yourself around the house. If you're doing this, and there's a name to that kind of a camera, if you're doing this, I would like to hear from you. Are you having success? Are you having better success with video tours by having people do a self walk around? I mean, some of these are so good. You can zoom into the carpet and see the individual fibers. You can turn the camera and look at the ceiling and look at the texture of the ceiling. You can look at everything. It's shockingly fantastic what's going on. I'd like to hear from you on the video tours. What is happening and what kind of success are you actually happening with it? Now, next week, we're going to continue our conversation about video tours, and we're going to talk about video stalking of buyers. Yeah, we plant a seed here, video stalking of buyers. And this is something actually happening in real time. And I want to talk about video stalking of buyers going through and occupied, but not at the moment. The sellers have left, but they're being stalked with video. This is Mountain Top Chats with your guru, and we have a final announcement, and we'll be talking to you tomorrow. All right.
So, Rod, what does it mean? 7 minutes to a new career.
Well, it's 7 minutes. We can have a cup of coffee. We can talk career goals and how we're going to help you make the biggest career move in your life.
That's right. There's a lot of things that Mountain Hood Realty has to offer, and Rod is a ball of energy.
I love the career, and I want to share with you my passion for building your business bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Come spend 7 minutes with us. We look forward to it.
Talk to you soon.